I would go to my desk outside in the dining room, and I would do my homework till 12:30. That was my cutoff, was 12:30.
Wow.
And get up at 5:30 a.m. again the next day.
Wow.
And just keep doing that every day. And then not even counting weekends when there were events. Well, then I'm part of the events. I'm getting up in the morning and I'm literally going to clean.
Who made you do that?
Who made me do what?
Hey there, and welcome to Above and Beyond, the podcast where excellence meets elevation. I'm your host, Jan Simon, and I'm here to bring you real, unfiltered conversations with the people who are pushing boundaries and building something bigger than themselves. Digging in on mindset, mission, and the moments that shape these high performers and purpose-driven leaders. Whether you're chasing your next level or just getting started, you're in the right place. This is more than a podcast. It's a mindset, and we're taking it above and beyond. We will get us going.
You gonna read that?
I am going to read this.
Is that the one I wrote?
This is, well,
It's all right. It's all right if you edited it.
This is a doctored version
Good. I like that. That's
of
fair.
Bryan Boutain.
Boutain, yes.
Boutain.
Boutain.
He's from Louisiana.
No, well, it's French. That's right.
Me llamo es Bryan Boutain.
Oh, wow.
All right. Ready to get this started?
I am.
All right. Our guest today is a serial entrepreneur with a knack for turning ideas into momentum. Originally from the heart of Minnesota and now thriving in Gilbert, Arizona, his journey is anything but ordinary. With degrees from Moorhead Technical College, Alexandria Technical, and Community College, he made history in 2012 as the first graduate to take advantage of a new transfer program to earn his Bachelor of Science in Marketing from the University of Minnesota, Crookston. His career spans an impressive range of ventures, sales, management, publishing, franchise ownership, and a successful family rental business. But the COVID era marked a turning point. After selling both his publishing and rental businesses, he found himself at a crossroads until a casual software license transfer turned into an unexpected opportunity. He stepped into a role as marketing manager for the very software company that had supported his family business. Still, the entrepreneurial fire never left him, and after a few hilarious bad rounds of golf and plenty of banter to match, a spark ignited. The phrase, whack fuck golf, was born, and with it, a bold new brand of business. In 2025, Bryan launched Social Golf Gear, featuring under brands like the edgy and fast-growing Whack Fuck Golf Team. The inaugural Whack Fuck Golf tournament on April 19, 2025 was more than a launch. It was a statement. Products sold out in the morning and interest exploded. Now partnered with the dynamic Above Par network, he is charging ahead. The website is live. Orders are rolling in and fresh gear is in the pipeline. From Minnesota grit to Arizona grit and hustle, he isn't just building a brand, he's creating a movement where entrepreneurship, humor, and golf collide. Ladies and gentlemen, I give you Bryan Boutain.
Perfectly, and thanks for dressing that up for me. That sounded much better than what I said. It was a good mix, actually. I did hear my own voice in there quite a bit. Yep,
You were in there.
The formalities are over with. Let the hilarity begin.
Bryan, I am excited about this episode.
I'm honored. It's episode number 2, and like we
Episode
talked about,
number 2.
Yep, my baseball number has
You were the
always been
deuce.
number 2. Yes, so that's good.
Big deuce.
That's right.
Dropping deuce.
Dropping deuce. Yep.
All right. Well, let's start out. How are you feeling?
Very good. This
Good?
is exciting. Yeah.
Nervous?
No, I can talk. I don't like talking about myself, so that'll be a bit of a challenge. So.
We will pull it out.
Yes, you will. Yes, you will. See, it's got to be funny or it's fine. I'm not doing it. I'm not doing it.
All right, here we go. So
right.
We're starting out. Minnesota. Where in Minnesota are you from? Were you born in Minnesota?
Born and raised in Minnesota, lived there 46 years, yes.
I'm sorry.
That's all right.
What's the name of your small town?
Where I grew up.
Well, I mean, sure.
That's probably more
Hey,
interesting. I grew up in a town of 150 people. There's just a farming community outside of Benson, Minnesota. It's called Clontarf, Minnesota. There are only 2 in the entire world. One is a neighborhood of Dublin, Ireland, which is exactly what the town was named after by an Irish bishop. Clontarf.
Clontarf.
People from Clontarf say Clonarf.
Clontarf.
I mean, they're definitely from there. But yeah, 150 people. Wow. But I went to school in Benson, just 5 miles away.
Okay.
And then after that, that's when I moved to Moorhead, Minnesota, across the border from Fargo, where Moorhead State University was.
Yeah, sure, you betcha.
Yep, you dang right.
Yeah.
Yep. Mm-hmm. Rhubarb pie.
Sweaty balls.
Schvetty. Yes.
All right. How many people were in your graduating class? Like 4?
101.
Wow.
There'd be like 4 of us.
So like you played every sport?
No, I didn't actually. I played football up until 9th grade. Wasn't for me. Was more of a band geek, a percussionist. So enjoyed doing a lot of that.
Played the hi-hat?
The hi-hat, yeah.
The cowbell?
Yeah, definitely more cowbell. Woodblock.
Nice.
Claves. Exactly. Music. If I memorized it, then I could play it.
Okay.
Yeah.
You still play?
No. The
Would
drum
you-
set's up on the shelf. Jack, my son, took up percussion, and when he was done with that, I just put the drums away.
Nice.
Yep. A little bit of football, but always baseball. Always
Baseball.
Always baseball.
What position?
I started out as a catcher,
Okay.
and then after going to college, taking, about 17 years off of playing, I moved to Alexandria, Minnesota, where Christy and I were married and started a family there. And per chance, like everything else, it seems like, opportunity by riding along with my dad to meet the city planner of Alexandria to ask him a question about business. And I saw baseball equipment. I said, "What's that?" And he goes, "Oh, I play on a 35 and older baseball team." And I was 34 at the time. They brought me out, let me goof around with them, and said, "You're on the team next year."
Nice.
And I've been playing ever since.
Really?
Yep.
And you're like 63.
Just under that.
Yeah.
Thanks. Okay. I'm 55. Yes, at the end of May here, I will be 56.
All right. So baseball. And so now, as an old guy, what position do you play?
Second base and third base. So, yeah, I ended up not staying at catcher because our third baseman got ill. I said, "Teach me third base." And they taught me third base. Pretty natural for a catcher to go there. And then I took a long time and spent a lot of time learning second base, which is a lot of work.
Yeah.
So up the middle, a lot of work. But very rewarding, had good coaches, and I hold my own.
And you still play down here?
I have decided to no longer play in Arizona. I played 3 games this spring. Too much bouncing around between teams, too many players moving around. Where I come from, baseball is a community sport. You play with your people. So I'm going to go back and play in Minnesota this summer.
Nice.
I got 8 games on my schedule from July 18th to July 28th.
Very cool.
So I'm very excited about going to play with real baseball players.
It's awesome.
Where I come from, nobody does anything without the rest of the team knowing you're doing it. There's no
Nice.
surprises, and there's too many surprises here. I'm not feeling it. I'm too old to be coaching older people how to play the game the right way.
Nice.
Yeah.
Do you hit both sides of the plate?
Hit it all, actually. No, I don't think I'm a very good hitter at all.
Hey, my dad used to say there's 5 ways to get on base.
I'd prefer the walk.
Get hit by a pitch?
I hold my own.
That's good.
Yep.
All right, so I don't remember all the towns you said that you lived in, but let's kind of
Well, Alexander is where we came from when Christy and I moved here. That's where we left.
So-
We've been there 13 years. It's the longest we'd lived in one place. It's definitely the community that I would call home in Minnesota now.
And is Alexandria north?
Alexandria's northwest of the Twin Cities on I-94 towards Fargo-Moorhead, actually. Just not quite in between, close though, but in Lakes Country, we call it. Lots of lakes.
So let's dig into that. Did you fish?
I did if somebody would take me.
Yeah.
I didn't own a boat.
Yeah.
Anybody, my brother was probably classic for it. He loved to fish. He lives on the lake. Other than that, maybe a little bit of shore fishing here and there. I was not a lake guy, believe it or not.
Any ice fishing?
Yeah, younger. Again, somebody taking you. Yep. I couldn't tell you the last time I ice fished.
Yeah.
It would be with my brother.
You guys have
no question.
like the little hut rolled
Well,
out.
not little hut. It's serious business in Minnesota. Yeah, those things are year round. Yeah, you can live in those things year round. They got air conditioning.
No kidding.
Oh, yeah,
That's
yes.
crazy.
The story about ice houses when we get to my marketing background.
Yeah,
so
yeah,
we'll
yeah.
see if we can remember to do that.
We'll get back.
Okay, all righty.
So, high school, a little
Yep.
bit of baseball, a
Yep.
little bit of band,
Yep.
football not so much.
No.
You get out of high school, what happened?
I didn't have any direction. I wasn't planning on going to college. And my senior year, a lot of things changed for me. I looked at things a little bit differently than I had been looking at them. Set some people aside, broke up with a girlfriend, said, this is not for me, and started to kind of have a different outlook and paid a little bit closer attention to what my friends were doing. And all of a sudden it became a little bit of FOMO for me. Walked into the counselor's office and said, why have you never talked to me about going to college? And he said, sit down. March of my senior year, hadn't taken a test, hadn't done anything, and set me up with an ACT test. I took it 2 weeks later. I had a band contest that same day, did all of that in one day. You needed a 20 to get into a 4-year college in Minnesota, and I got a 19 and a half, and they round up. So that's how I got in.
You got in.
I got in.
Rounding up.
I got in by rounding up. Yeah,
Nice.
that's a story of my life before that. So, yeah, Morehead State University I started out at, did not finish there.
Okay. How long were you there?
I was there, back then they were quarters, so 5 quarters. I was on the wrong path. I was enamored with the business of music. I wanted to be in the music business. It was one of 2 colleges in the United States that had a music industry program. One was NYU and Morehead State, Minnesota, because a guy moved from there to here and started the program. They put you in theory classes right away. And that was the deal breaker for me. And then I left and went to Morehead Technical College for sales, marketing, and management. And that's how I got in the business path.
Interesting. And so you're moving on. Next school. Were you in school when you met Christy?
Nope. We did go to the same college, but you have to understand the bride's 6 years younger than me. Yes. Yeah,
Cradle robber.
to my advantage.
Yes.
Marry me a business banker and
it's-
retire early. So no, I did not. That was later on in life. Yeah, that was. I met Christy when I think I just was turning 27.
Okay.
So yeah, there's a little departure in there.
So what happened in that black gap?
Got married.
Really?
Yes. Christy's gonna hate listening to that now.
That'd be awesome.
Even though she knows the
That would be
story.
awesome.
Short term, yeah.
Shotgun?
No, not at all. It was like breaking up with your girlfriend but signing a few documents. That was it. Yeah, split it up 50-50. You know, we didn't own anything. There was really nothing to it at all. Moved back to the Fargo-Moorhead area and just seeing people, meeting people, re-entering into the same community where I'd hung out and lived for quite a while. So it's pretty easy to make friends, find old friends, and go out and meet people. Date with a buddy of mine. Went on a date.
You were on a date with a buddy?
No, the buddy just came along. I tagged along. Okay. And we just met up at a bar, and we got there before my date arrived, and that's when I bumped into Christy.
Nice.
Just Christy tells the story better than I do.
Yeah.
But so I had to kind of stay away from her, and she kept trying to get me on the dance floor. I don't dance. She dances. Chased her out to the front, got her phone number, waited way too long to call her, and she would certainly tell you that. And
She actually gave you the right phone number.
all you had to do was get a name. You could look it up in the phone book.
They did have those.
Her last name was Strutz, so that was pretty easy to remember, but I did demand that. And I happened to be in my hometown with a buddy. I hadn't seen him for a while, and I kept talking about her. He's like, well, why have you called her? I go, oh, I've been on the road for 2 weeks traveling for my job. And he's like, grabs my cell phone. This is 1996, and hands me my Motorola flip phone and called her up, and seemed like she was blowing me off, but we went out when I got back, and we've been together ever since.
Nice.
So, I got divorced in October and met Christy in May. I wasn't single long.
So she's a rebound.
Well, no, I don't. I thought, and she went her own way eventually, for work. She was a junior in college when I met her.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and I was already in the professional, and she had a plan, and I was happy to watch her work that plan. She was going to do it without me.
Nice.
And she just happened to go to work for a division of Schwann's Foods. The Schwann's man. I worked for a subsidiary of Schwann's called Hot Stuff Pizza. I was a district marketing manager for them, and I traveled through that town all the time. Our offices were in Sioux Falls, South Dakota, but the home office was in Marshall, Minnesota, and that's where Christy got her first job as a credit analyst at a leasing company.
Huh.
So if a Hot Stuff opened and they needed equipment, they leased it through Schwann's.
Nice.
Clever, huh?
Yeah.
Use our other business, too.
Yeah.
Business. I don't know if we got off track there, but...
No, you're good.
Yeah, that's how I met Christy, 1990s. Yes.
1996. And at that point, you were a traveling salesman.
I was a marketing manager, district marketing. Well, I started off as a territory consultant. I had about 40 stores in southern Minnesota. It was the oldest district, so their stores were compact. And then I got promoted to district marketing manager, where I supported all the territory consultants on marketing efforts, focused on new store openings and remodels. It was a great job. So much fun.
Yeah. So what does that entail?
Well, small towns, pizza places, and convenience stores.
Okay.
Yeah, so if you opened a store, there were lots of ways to do it. You had to make sure they're investing in labor and having product, available and quality, and then marketing those things. Some towns didn't have any other pizza, so it wasn't difficult, but you competed against everybody else. So just whenever a consultant needed help with a store on anything, I set up district-wide programs where you could buy into flyer inserts in your local newspaper, but I could do it in bulk. So you're doing millions of flyers versus a town doing 5,000 flyers. Partnering with Coca-Cola for free 12-pack with any large pizza. So building relationships with people like that. But my biggest thing was turning around stores that were suffering. That was kind of my specialty, going in there and working with the ownership and saying, this is why. And most of the reasons were the same. Investment in labor and product availability. Pretty simple to me, but they didn't understand. You open a bag of chips and but making a product, being a restaurant, foreign to them, but very important part of it. You see food in convenience stores all the time now. Yeah. That wasn't a thing in the late 90s.
Yeah. So did that lay groundwork for kind of where you went from there? Or what happened to kind of transition you away from that? Because if that was a great job, I mean, how did you kind of move from there?
What transitioned me away in leaving that job, which to this day, I will still tell you it's the best job I've ever had. There's no question. May not be financially or whatever the most successful opportunity, but it was the best job I've ever had. It was a very distinct line of moving forward set up in the hierarchy, and that line got blown up. Although I would have benefited dramatically from it had I stayed.
Gotcha.
But there were some things where you look at some integrity moves and you're like, you know what, I don't think that I can stay with this. I was offered all the promotions when it kind of blew up, and I decided instead to go a different way. Moved into software and hardware sales for a radio station company out of Ogallala, Nebraska. The day I started, the day I flew out, we were sold. I worked for a company one day, and the next day I worked for another company. Everybody was buying everybody out. So I was with AM/FM and ended up with Clear Channel Broadcasting. We had our own software and hardware that we sold, and so I had all the Western United States. So I started working. That was my first job really working from home, but getting in an airplane every Monday and Tuesday.
I was saying you travel quite a bit.
Traveled a lot, yeah. I mean, I know the Denver airport like nobody. That new one, I mean, it was brand new at the time. But that and Salt Lake City, I mean, but what a great opportunity to travel and see a lot of things. Christy and I had just gotten married, and she had moved to St. Cloud or Sartell, Minnesota, where I was, and we bought a home, and she got a job there continuing on in the credit analyst world, and I just traveled a lot, and I only did that for a couple of years, but boy, I saw a lot of places.
That's awesome.
That was, so many opportunities, trade shows and hotels and stuff like that. So.
Reminds me of part of my career. I was working for a couple different carriers and on the road 3 days a week. But I mean, Denver Airport, Salt Lake City Airport, Vegas Airport. I got to the point, I was staying at the same hotel simply because it was just convenient. And I remember going in one day and the gal behind the check-in desk, welcome, Mr. Simon, welcome back. And I thought, I need to move someplace else.
When I was district marketing manager for Hot Stuff, too, we could stay in the small motels, the Super 8s, the Americans or whatever. Many times I was covering territories for people out, but yes, a lot of people at front desk knew who I was when I walked in. We had to call to make a reservation. Same room? Well, if you have to, sure.
Right, for sure.
Yeah. Or the upgrade, sure. Upgrade.
Yeah. Brothers and sisters?
Older brother, younger brother. Him and I we were born the same day, a year apart.
Oh, wow.
The same birthday. And then a younger sister, 4 years younger.
Okay. Are they all in Minnesota still?
My younger brother is. He was my partner with his nephew. Or my nephew, his son, in the rental business, which we'll get to. Very close to him.
Okay.
Even closer now that the business is gone.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, not close. Yeah, during the business, because business is stressful.
Arguing.
Yeah. And so, it's nice to have my brother back the way
That's
that we
good.
grew up together. Very close to my sister.
And is this the one that was just a year?
Yeah. Older brother, not really close to him.
Okay.
Not too much. Not anymore these days.
Yeah.
Lived with him in college for a little bit when he got out of the Navy and did a lot of things together, but since the family business stuff, don't talk too much. Can't remember last time, honestly.
Oh, wow.
Guess it'll have to be a time sometime.
It'll happen.
I guess when my mom passed away. That's the last time I talked to him.
Wow. Well, they say marriage and death brings people together.
Yeah.
And you got a younger sister, 4 years younger. She in Minnesota?
She is in South Dakota. She's in
Dakota.
Custer, South Dakota. She's getting married. So.
Oh, nice.
Yep.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So, you meet Christy.
Yeah.
Obviously, wildly, madly in love with her still.
Is it that obvious? It's pretty clear, isn't it, to everybody?
I feel like you would rather talk about Christy than yourself.
Absolutely. I don't like talking about myself. I have no problem telling my story, but as far as accolades and pats on the back, not going to happen.
Yeah, well.
Yeah, I'll let other people do that.
Well, pretty awesome watching you guys. A great relationship.
Yeah,
It's
very
fun.
proud of that.
It's fun. So that's great. You got 2 kids.
2 kids, yep.
Boy and a
We weren't
girl.
going to have kids when we met. We got married and agreed we were not going to have kids. That was part of the deal. When we moved to Alexandria, something felt right about that.
The water.
I don't know. All of a sudden, she's like, I think I want to have kids. And I mean, that was a moment of, okay. And then like, you know what? If I'm going to raise a family, this is the place to do it. There's no question. And that was community for me.
Nice.
That was really for the first time for community. And her and I, me owning businesses there and her being a banker in that community, being a town of 15,000 people with a catchment of, 35,000 people with the smaller towns, we were everywhere together. If we weren't going there together, we ended up in the same place, whether it be a chamber event or a networking event. A lot of that same stuff that we'll probably be talking about today. It was easy to be, for lack of a better term, big fish in a small pond.
Yeah.
The challenge of coming here to a big pond
Yeah.
and getting out there, and Christy's proved that she can do it. She dove right in. Unfortunately, I couldn't because I held on to my businesses and until 2022, that was the turning point of like, wow, I need to look at doing something local.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Well, and I feel like if you've been doing that for quite some time and you stop, I would only imagine that there's got to be a void.
yeah,
that needs to be
the isolation was difficult, very, very challenging. I mean, look, I'm here Tuesday. I was home. I didn't go anywhere.
How old are your kids?
Brianna's 20. She'll be 21 in June. And Jack is 18. He'll be graduating this year.
Nice.
No, he can. He's actually part-time at the East Valley Institute of Technology
Okay.
in their Future Engineers program.
Nice.
They cover, I can't remember how many, 6 at least, all the different types of engineering. In high school, he did the robotics program and was very much into that, which led to EVIT. EVIT is the reason he had to quit band, which is fine. And then instead of going back to Higley High School, he went into the virtual academy.
Oh.
And he has thrived in that, and he has found a path forward on his own of what he wanted to do.
That's awesome.
It's because of EVIT and because of robotics.
I think that's all we can really hope.
Yeah, because 2 years ago, he was aimless.
Right. Help our kids not cut their fingers and shoot their eye out.
Yeah, and you don't even think they're paying attention. And for them to say, yeah, well, my dad's an entrepreneur. He owns his own businesses and stuff like that. I didn't realize they were talking about those types of things. But I guess thinking about it, anytime they brought friends over the house, my first question was, what do your parents do?
Yeah.
Tell me about your parents. You can get a pretty good idea of, or what they might need from you that
Yeah.
you're not getting.
Now, is your daughter still at home, or is she?
I'm going to move out, Dad. And then, no, but we'll figure it out.
Is she in the basement playing video games? I mean,
No, there is no basement. Hey, we're in Arizona, dude.
all
There's
right.
no basement.
They don't dig.
Anyway.
That's one of the things I noticed when I moved
Yeah.
down here. I'm like,
apparently it's
you
a basement neighborhood.
you would think basements in Arizona make sense.
You think, yeah.
I mean,
downstairs where it's cool all the time? Absolutely, yeah.
subterranean living.
I go back to Minnesota in the winter for my family's business. I'd sleep downstairs and I'd wake up and it'd be 53 in
Yeah.
the basement, It's like shower all the way on hot. But anyway, she is at Chandler Gilbert Community College. She made a very smart decision to do her first 2 years in an affordable way
Yeah.
because she didn't know what she wanted to do. Working at Watson CPA, getting a lot of experience in general business stuff, bookkeeping and stuff. And she's really taken a shine to that. So her focus in those 2 years, she's been leaning towards business without any push from mom and dad who are in business.
Nice.
And so she's going to have to decide. She's going to go in the fall and she'll be done with the 2-year transfer degree. She's got to decide what she wants to do after that.
Okay.
But she saved a boatload of money, obviously,
Yeah.
living at home and paying, a lot less in tuition. So that was a smart move on her. So she should come out of college the 2 years with no debt.
All right. So at some point you decided to move to Arizona. What brought you down here?
Well, Christy should be here for that story because it's all her fault.
So I showed up one day.
I talk about mine, you can't talk about yours?
No, we didn't.
No, we just it happened.
Shoot, it was
Yeah.
there. I remember getting home from work one day, and there were job postings printed off on my desk.
Oh.
And she said, I'm moving somewhere warm. You can come with me or you can stay here.
And you were where?
We were in Washington State.
Okay, it wasn't quite like that.
No, it was cold, but not like Minnesota.
Yeah, but even like if my wife didn't tell me, I had no, this is you.
The ultimatum.
Yeah, we had the kids got to the age. My mom was babysitting, and we got to take our far away trip, and we went to Florida to the Minnesota Twins spring training, which was a dream of mine. And we did that. And that just got us thinking about, we're probably not long for winters. And then the next year, as much as I wanted to go back to Florida, Fort Myers, I said, let's go to Arizona. And I had been here several times with my travels and always enjoyed it very, very much.
Yeah.
And she'd never been. So we got off the plane, and that's back before the light rail took you to the rental cars. You had to get in that bus, go all the windy roads over there. And she wasn't talking. She was looking out the window. She goes, this is not at all what I thought it was. And I go, well, what did you think it was? She goes, I just thought everything would be brown.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And I go, no, this is, a different kind of desert.
Yeah.
And she's, this is amazing. And so we stayed at Talking Stick Resort, had a great time there. My college roommate from 87, 88, we've been friends ever since. He was the general manager of North Scottsdale BMW for Penske. He invited us out. We did a spring training game. He invited us out to his house, and he just pounded on us that we should move here. I'm like, that's, my own business is back there.
Yeah.
And then Christy asked, she said, do you think it's possible? And I flippantly said, if you can find a job down there that pays well, yes, I'd consider it. And it took a year and a lot of me helping her saying, these people aren't going to interview you. Go down there and force them to interview you.
Yeah.
Tell them you're going to be in town on your dime. Hey, would you at least meet with me? And that's how she ended up landing her first job. So we were here in March. She got offered the job that following February.
Oh, wow.
I was on the treadmill or elliptical working out, and the phone rang. I'm like, hey, what's up? And she's like, I got offered a job. And it's just like, slow down. We had to leave that night for a basketball tournament for Brianna, and I didn't sleep. People say they don't sleep. I did not sleep because I had to tell my family. And I was willing to let the business go, and they didn't want me to quit. And so we ended up moving down in April of that year.
Gotcha.
So that's how we ended up here, was bringing her here. She loved it. The kids were the right age. Jack was all in. And now you can't get Brianna to leave Arizona. She's an Arizona girl. She doesn't tell people she's from Minnesota anymore.
That's awesome. A long story. We had come down because I had to go to California quite a bit for work. So my wife would come down here, and I would come over on the weekends to visit. And so we would talk about, when we retire, Arizona would be nice.
Why wait?
Yeah. Then it became freezing cold, and I'm done. I'm moving.
Yep. Ended up working out for us, didn't it?
Yeah. Yeah. I was like, I'll give it a year. If I like it, I'll stay.
A lot of people come and leave.
And I don't like it, I'll go back home.
Yeah.
And I've been here ever since. That was
same here.
99.
I was committed to staying, and then we come down and you go like, have you guys been here in the summer?
Yeah.
The heat doesn't bother me at all.
That's awesome.
Cold? Yes.
So tell me about your businesses.
Actually, I have. When I was working for the radio station company, I didn't think I was really long for it, and I was at home working from my home office, and I was looking in the newspaper, and there was an ad in there for Own Your Own Direct Mail Coupon Magazine. So I called the dude up. His name's Eric. I hope he hears this podcast. And he's like, this isn't for you. Well, that was the last thing you say to me. Tell me I can't do something. So I said, you know what? You need to meet me. You need to meet me. I'll drive. I drove to northeast Minneapolis in the Twin Cities. I got flagged down by a lady of the night.
I've heard that...
trying to find this apartment. And this guy lives here, and he's telling me I shouldn't be doing a magazine?
Right. Yeah. Was it a group interview?
No, it was not a group interview.
Yeah.
Got there and saw the product, and I was like, I can do this. And by the time we had met, and we're still friends to this day, went out and did it. So I kind of did it on the sly while I was doing the other job. I told my wife, I said, I don't really have a magazine unless I print one, because I wasn't getting any ad sales. But I'm like, well, I'll just put something out. And then I can say I have one. I think I quit 10 or 12 times before I did that. And I just took $4,500 out of my credit card with one of those paper checks you used to write.
Yeah.
Printed a magazine. Never looked back.
Wow.
Never looked back. Did I did St. Cloud, Minnesota. Had a couple zones there. Did Sioux Falls, South Dakota, Fargo, North Dakota. I had salespeople there. Moved to Alexandria, started one there. The company that did it for me said, that's too small. I made such inroads there, and that magazine still flourishes to this day. But that was 2005.
Wow.
So that magazine's 20 years old now.
Yeah.
And during that time, got out of the house, got an office, had 3 offices that were empty, got a graphic designer in there. I ended up meeting and got a call from somebody in St. Cloud, Minnesota, and asked me if I knew anybody, because I knew them from when I lived there, doing my publishing there, if anybody in the area would do a women's magazine. And I said, well, why not me? And she stumbled over her words and said, well, you're a guy. I'm like, well, why can't a guy do one? So went back to the office. The graphic designer, we've been talking about doing something together for a while. And I walked by, and she always faced the window, and her back was to the door. I said, hey, what do you think about doing a women's magazine? And she sat up. She goes, are you serious? And I go, yeah, I mean, obviously it's editorial, and we got a lot of things to talk about. And she said, yeah, let's talk about it. Came back with a name called Definitive Woman. And by the end of the day, we had a logo, and we were sitting there laughing, going, are we seriously going to do this? And we did it. And we launched a women's magazine, and I sold both of those together to the same person. It was such a great package deal. So I got into the publishing world. During that time, and prior to that, I owned 3 Curves for Women franchises back when that was, I sold ads to a couple small franchises, and had a chiropractor friend who I met at some baseball games, and we were driving back from ribbon cutting, and I made a joke, I just need to start a Curves franchise, and went into his office, and that next night we were at a kitchen table as couples, and went to the bank and bought a franchise, and then bought another one, and then bought another one, and those were all in North Dakota, actually.
Wow.
Most of our area was sold out, so we had Valley City, North Dakota, Grafton, North Dakota, and Jamestown, North Dakota. That was really the beginning of the entrepreneurship.
So was there a time like when you went from working for the radio station, you said that you knew you weren't going to be long for that, or was it little pieces over time that just kind of started building and you just kept taking steps?
I'd gotten tired of the traveling and thought, I was living where I thought I was going to live for going to, we had a Northwoods League baseball team there. There's college wood bat league. So these premier college players get out of college and they come play, but they have to swing wood bat. It's a huge thing, the famous ones, the Cape Cod League. But, they're drawing 300 fans, and we were drawing, 3,000 fans to a game. A lot of people at those games, families, whether the family next to us owned a dry cleaner, the guy in front of us owned a construction company, and going, it'd be fun to do more in the community. Well, what I was doing didn't allow for that.
Yeah.
Seems to be a central theme for me, by the way, doing something going, I can't be a part of my community.
Yeah.
But that's what I need to be.
Yeah. Isn't that interesting? And it's crazy because I feel like that's what drives me, right?
Good.
I love being a part of the community. I love knowing people, walking into a place, run into somebody you know. I just love that. And I feel like I was missing that previously. And so now having that is amazing. So I get that.
It's interesting. I think we'll eventually get to this, but you played a huge role in that. I know you probably don't even know that. The day that I met you, the night that I met you, we were at some chamber event outdoors at Gilbert Regional. Christy said, you got to meet Jan. His son plays college hockey, which you found out I'm a huge Gopher hockey fan. And we stood at that table and talked. And I'm like, I need to get to know this guy better. When's Jan going to be there?
That's funny.
Yeah, and it got more and more as time went on. But she was getting me out of the house, telling me hey, come to this event or come to this event, and doing that. So, I did get out, and then I met Jeff Bride that way, going to an event. Believe it, we'll get to that in a little. I haven't been able to put my finger on it, so I'm not going to gush about it, but I really did.
Appreciate that.
So from St. Cloud to Alexandria, Minnesota to here, and then obviously we'll talk about APN as well. I thought, here I am sitting with all these people that are from here, and I'm not doing anything here. I need to do something here. Hey, let's do a coupon magazine. And so then I really got to know all these small business owners and thought I can be helpful to small business owners, and was really locked in from that point on.
So let's step back. Family business.
Oh, that's a big one.
Let's talk about that for a minute.
So when Christy and we left Sartell and we moved back to Moorhead. It was my idea. It was a bad idea. It ended up being a very good idea. She had her first business banking job because she went from credit analyst to business banking with U.S. Bank. Jump way ahead. The reason why she is opening her bank here is because that guy that hired her back in Fargo, they kept in touch all of these years.
No kidding.
And he is on the board and knew she was here, and they wanted to open a branch. Said, I have just the person for you.
That
Think
is
they got a good person out of that deal?
Oh, the good.
Yeah, they really. I'll give her a little prop. I hope David hears this.
Tell David he needs to listen.
Right, exactly. He knows what he's got, and she knows what she's got.
Amazing.
Yeah.
We were talking about your family business.
Oh, so after about 12 months of being in Moorhead, Minnesota again, I was doing coupon magazines or sales. Took her out to Buffalo Wild Wings and said, I got something I got to tell you, and I don't know how to tell it. I said, I don't. And she's like, what? I'm like, yeah, I don't think we should be here. And called the realtor, and she thought we were nuts. We didn't know where we wanted to go, but we knew we didn't want to go back to where we came from. And so we were having breakfast in Alexandria at the Perkins restaurant, hers from the leasing company she worked for back near St. Cloud. And we're standing in line getting ready to pay. Remember, Perkins, you got to bring your check up front.
Yep.
So she just asked her boss at U.S. Bank in downtown Fargo, just happened to have a business banking job open in Alexandria.
Nice.
So she got that job, and we moved there. When we moved there, my dad had just started kind of exploring that area to expand his portable toilet business. My dad started it. When I was in college, he went on the road and drove truck and wasn't home. He was on the road 22 days, home 4.
Wow.
And he came to my apartment and said, hey, got a chance to buy Harry's pumping service. It just happened to be the people that pump septic tanks in the area. I remembered it. And the reason why I remembered it was his truck had a blue bug visor on the front that said Harry's Turd Hearse on it. And so now my business brain, because now I'm in college for business, I go, how much? And he goes, $6,000 for the truck and the accounts. And he always wanted to get back into working for himself. And then we had a large concrete plant 9 miles away, and friends with the family, and they said, hey, you ever get into portable toilets? It's like, nope, never thought about it. And ended up buying 5 used portable toilets, and then bought 8 more and just kept buying them. But they were getting ready to expand to Alexandria because my brother got out of the Army and moved to Hoffman, Minnesota, about 20 miles away, and was working all day at U.S. Fish and Wildlife and jumping in a truck at night, trying to grow the family business. I tried to buy a competitor that was in the area and just told them, just be aware, I'm moving there, and my wife and I are going to be in the community. And I've secured so many contracts, so many events just by being a part of the chamber.
Yeah.
Big, grape stomp. But I was going in there just on my own time.
Yeah.
Hey, we're local. And then ended up that competitor finally had to acquiesce and sell out to us. So that was 2000. I don't even know. And then I decided to go back to college. I had never got my degree. And transferring technical college credits in Minnesota didn't happen. And I was at a family event with my cousin. She worked at the local technical college, community college, and started taking college classes. So I was doing curves, magazines, helping my dad back in college. Brianna's born. It's a good thing I had nothing to do. Yeah. And then in 2008, my dad had a minor stroke, if there is such a thing. And I was the only one that I knew QuickBooks and Microsoft Calendar. And so I just he's like, you need to go look at the calendar and let Joel, my brother, know what to do. So we were going through that, and I ended up doing the billing for him. It was, not huge at the time. This is before we bought the competitor. And I never left. My dad, in 2009, gifted the business to us. He gifted us some porta potties, a couple old trucks, and about $160,000 in debt.
That was nice.
Thank you. Thanks.
Thanks, Dad.
Yeah. So it turned out all right.
Funniest situation, craziest thing that ever happened.
Porta potty business?
Yeah. Did anything blow up on you?
No. There's a
No kidding.
sleeping
Like
in there.
found somebody in it?
Yes.
No kidding.
Yes. Waterama in Glenwood, Minnesota was one of the big ones. Whenever because we'd go at 5 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah.
Because we'd clean in the morning of each day to get the event going for the day. And when you would go up to a porta potty and it was turned to red.
What am I going
And so my nephew Bryce,
Oh, man.
so we were doing it. He pointed, he goes, so he got the tool out to get the thing to twist, and he grabbed the door, and he stood back. Because you never know.
Right, yeah.
You never know. Stood back, and the dude just falls out. He's sitting there against the door, falls out. It's like, what is going on? Gets up, and we're looking. I'm like, are you okay? Looking around. And he just walks into the park. And I never saw him again. Phones, girls put their phones in their back pocket, then go in and use the bathroom. If you didn't get the suction quite right at the back of the tank, and you had to close it to build up more suction back at the tank. And it would hit that tank, and the angle was perfect that it would go on you.
Oh.
The recommendation that apparently my nephew forgot after cleaning hundreds of thousands of toilets was you probably shouldn't have your mouth open. I'm going to make him listen to this. Yeah, I need you to, whenever we do this and we get the time, I'm going to tell him, fast forward to this.
I will tell you.
And he'll have such a great sense of humor. What a great guy. But yeah, I mean, I wasn't there for it, but he had to tell me. It's obviously not a job for the faint of heart, but I'll tell you what a fantastic business.
Yeah.
What a great business it really is. I mean, being family run and, growing it to adding employees. And we added a whole party rental division in 2009, tents, tables. We did all of that at, I don't know, I think in the summer, we had maybe 17 employees running around doing things. So that was my claim to fame, was starting the party rental. Just because, we're missing out on opportunities to competitors that had business that rented that and that. Mm-hmm. So that's what we did. And we moved into the luxury restroom trailers, the big air conditioned.
Oh, yeah.
We moved into that as well just before we ended up selling the business in 2022.
Gotcha.
Yes, we did. It was never, at that point, those trucks are ungodly expensive, and our truck was on its last legs, and we're not making enough money on that to do this. It allowed us to focus on portable restrooms, the trailer business. Yep.
Nice.
Yeah.
Okay, so you've had such a colored background.
Well,
it's pretty impressive.
I don't think you were warned about this, were you?
No, I was not.
Sorry about that.
No, this is great. So, married to Christy.
HPS Rental. Harry's Pumping Service became HPS Rental.
What was on the front of the blue visor?
Well, we didn't have that. That was long gone. That was a Harry's turd hearse.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, Harry was the guy that owned it. We kept the name. My dad's name was Bill, but we just kept it. Was so popular and famous, and everybody knew it.
Nice.
But we still own Harry's Pumping Service Incorporated. We sold the business. We just sold the porta potty side and kept the corporation. So corporation still exists. We own some land and some buildings that are part of the corporation that didn't get sold with the business.
Nice.
We're landlords now. Yeah.
There you go.
Better. Landlords.
So you moved to Arizona.
Ran the business from Arizona. My brother and his son, my nephew, were my business partners. They were in charge of operations. Yep. For the first 3-4 years, I went back a lot. Was gone a lot in the summer.
And at what point did you just go, I'm done?
We weren't done. It was a phone call in January or February of 2022. In 2020, I sold the magazine business. I had met somebody who published a senior perspective newspaper, and he always said, hey, if you ever, let me know. And it was that time where I was deciding it was. And so it was pretty easy. Actually, I said, hey, I want to sell. I'll fly up. Let's talk. And we actually made a deal in 15 minutes at the coffee shop. Wow. Wrote me a check and went and told my employees we need to be out of this office by September. Yeah. So somebody who kind of helped us out with the tent set, I guess, was kind of an entrepreneur in the area, called my brother up. Would you guys ever be interested in selling? Never considered it. Never thought about it. My nephew, Brett, was always going to be the heir to it, while my brother and I, in our early 50s, were going to try to figure out how to. And so we're in the throes of kind of that idea, like, okay, in the next 10 years, what does this look like? And so really, the offer wasn't outstanding at first, but the offer that came back was something we couldn't refuse, but it was still up to my nephew, Brett.
Gotcha.
And my younger brother was. We had a simple process. There were 3 of us, and we made all of our decisions very simply on, if it comes down to a vote, it's a simple 2/3 majority, but it was always a consensus. Never somebody being told we're not going to do this. And no buy-sell agreement. There was no way to remove anybody from the corporation. My dad set it up in a way where you really couldn't do that. But it was up to my nephew, Brett. And so we sat down as a family, and he said, this would allow me to start something else, which I love to hear, that he was interested in that. He's like, we should do it. And those 2 stayed on. We sold it in June 6th of 2022. Those 2 stayed on quite a bit that year, trying to transition the guy, because he wasn't going to be hands-on. And we were very hands-on, which I think was the reason why we were so successful.
Business, where it's like, and I'm kind of dealing with this right now, where the relationship is what it's all about. And the stronger you build those relationships and those bonds and the people that think about you, but then at some point your time becomes so limited.
Yep.
Right?
Correct.
And you have such a good customer base. So how do I divide my time and still work on business development?
Yeah. And part of that was, that's such a great point, because I think every small business goes through that, is when we were talking about the transition, especially after I moved here, the transition became more clear was, all right, guys, this business is so successful, putting, sometimes 30% to the bottom line, which means we had money to spend, right?
Yeah.
We had money to invest. We should probably start investing in people doing the jobs that we're doing and continuing to grow the business, working on the business where we were doing both. So that was kind of just starting to form when we decided, to take the deal.
Yeah.
So I don't know. That would have been St. Cloud, Minnesota, and had my very successful coupon zones. I hired a gal on 1099. She was selling memberships at Gold's Gym.
Wow.
Man, she was exactly what I was looking for. And the best thing about Katie was she made such great money. She figured it out the last year. She worked about 8 weeks a year.
Wow.
But the magazine was so successful and sold out most of the time that all she was doing was renewals.
Wow.
Yeah, so she had a great life. Yeah, and that was such a proud moment for me. It's a proud moment to have somebody come in and have a life that she wanted, the way she wanted to do it, that allowed her to do things on the side. Yeah. She started staging houses for realtors, which is something she loved to do.
Yeah.
She loved interior design. Well, that job allowed her to do, and that's great, Katie. So,
I think that's awesome. I feel like too often employers or businesses get stuck in this is your job description. You need to show up Monday through Friday, 8 to 5.
No.
You need to do this work. And the problem is, in my opinion, you could have somebody who can get all of the work done in 4 hours.
Correct.
Versus 8. And if you allow them that flexibility to go, do the job. As long as I'm not getting phone calls because we're not
you know what to do. And if you're not doing it, I'll know. But I know that's not what you want either.
Right.
Yeah. So when I had the magazine business and publishing company in Alexandria, when we started the women's magazine, the part of the deal with my business partner was we needed to hire a graphic designer away from another printing company. And then we hired her. And I never really thought about it. She's like, how much vacation time do I have? I said, I've never thought of that. You know what needs to be done.
Right.
And our deadlines are very clear. I said, so if you get your work done, I don't care you're doing it here or anywhere else. I'll get you a MacBook.
Right.
And so I really hate that you say you're going to go on vacation and take the MacBook with you. I didn't realize that I was one of the few people doing paid time off before it was a thing. It seems so counterintuitive to me that other people like vacation.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, and there are
it.
definitely times where we need to unplug.
Absolutely.
Right? We need to go.
I just thought you could make that decision yourself.
Right. We're adults. Now, if we're hiring the right people, if we're putting the right people in place. So anyways.
Right there. That was the key part, hiring the right people.
Now, you sold the business. You end up going to work for a company.
That I used their software to run our business.
How'd that happen?
Well, when my dad was running the business, that was one of the things I gave him a hard time. Like, this billing that we're doing is taking forever. And this was with 120 portable toilets, which when we sold, it was well over 600. Yes. Yeah, but I'm like, I was doing all those other things that we've been talking about.
Do you have like a big map that shows where all of the toilets are?
Well, now you can buy software that does all that. I had
you got a Thomas guide with little pins in it?
Yeah, Google Maps business, without the business, subscription, you were limited how many pins you could have. But
there you go.
We were able to figure that out. So when I was looking for software, as you can imagine, it would be back in 2008, 2009. You just looked on the limited web, and I found a piece of software that I was interested in. I called the guy up, and he answered his phone. And I said, this is what I do. He's like, we're perfect for you. I'm like, okay, well, he goes, are you going to be at the trade show? I'm like, yeah, actually, I am going to be at the trade show. Let's meet there. So when I was talking to him on the phone, it was an interesting rapport because it was kind of joking back and forth about everything and a little bit of baseball, a little bit of that. So I met him, and we made a deal there. And that's back when he was selling it. It was installed on your computer at that time. There was no software as a service.
With the 5 1/4-inch floppy.
Yeah, well, pretty much. Yeah, I don't even know now that you say that. During that time with the software, and it was so archaic looking back at it, whenever I called when I had a problem, he answered the phone. And so it got me thinking, like, well, how big is this company? I ended up finding out, and we jumped ahead a little bit, but I'll go back. When I went to work for them, that I was their 10th customer.
No kidding.
Ever. So when you go in the CRM and you look at it, it says VIP. So whenever that person would call and they would punch in the name, it would come up VIP. So I moved to the front of the line. That explains why. It changed my life. I mean, it allowed me to do billing for every month. It took me all week to do it, to taking an hour. Yeah. So when I called him when I sold the business, I said, hey, if I set up a QuickBooks file for this guy and move our customer list over there, can you take the database? He goes, the customers need to match exactly. I totally got it. So he's like, yeah, I'll do it. And he's like, what's going on? And I go, we sold it. And he goes, well, what's your brother going to do? I said, well, he's going to help out through the transition. So when do we want to do this? I go, whoa. Why don't you ask what I'm going to do? He's like, well, you have your marketing business. I go, not anymore. I don't have that. He goes, well, what are you going to do? And I go, nothing. I'm not going to do anything. I'm going to make sure the transition goes well. A week goes by. He calls up. He says, I know what you're going to do. I'm like, what's that? He goes, you're going to come to work for me. I need a marketing guy now. I go, that's the problem. I don't want to do that now. Take this. He called and he goes, I talked to my wife who was in the business. Talk to our customer success manager. Talk to our sales manager. So I took all those phone calls while I was on vacation and just kept hammering away at me. Ended up being a trainer for 2 years of the software because we were transitioning. We have 18 industries that we cover. Porta potties isn't the only one, but the desktop software was the last one still doing porta potties. Everything else was software as a service. And I eventually got to be a part of helping. I don't write code, but I got to help transition over to the software as a service. And one day we let somebody go on the software as a service thing, and they were my customer to train on it. I had never touched the software, so I had to learn, know both of them. We were in a meeting one day. I go, hey, guys, you guys realize that we launched the rental version of our software, and you guys don't even realize we launched it? They kind of all sat there like, what? When's the last time we sold the desktop software? With no fanfare whatsoever, it was launched.
Wow.
So it happened, and now it's obviously full-fledged. Yeah. But I still help desktop customers that won't transfer over. So if that answered your question, that's how I ended up being in the software business. Doing a little bit of training, doing a lot more marketing, learning the other industries, pools, pest control, lawn service, HVAC, all of them, massive competitors out there, lots of competitors. So learning them. So basically, if you got hired for a marketing job for a company, I'm like a marketing person for 18 companies because there's 18 different versions of the software, and you have to know all of those things. That they all have their own publications, they all have their own trade shows, they all have their own groups that you got to be a part of, industry memberships and stuff like that. And that's been a huge challenge for me.
Gotcha.
Portable toilets, rental industry, that's an easy one.
Fine.
The rest are, I couldn't train somebody on pool software. I have no idea, but I have to market it. I'd bless Rich at Springfield Golf Club for saying my name, Whack Fuck Golf Team.
Non-child-friendly version of the Above and Beyond podcast.
Yeah, it's irreverent and, sometimes rude, just downright rude. Yeah.
I like it.
Yeah, I do too. It took a while to come around. Just kind of like you don't have a magazine until you put it out. You don't have a brand called Whack Fuck Golf Team until you put it on something. And then it goes, everybody wants to buy a Whack Fuck Golf Team hat.
Oh, my God.
Don't have any.
When's this shop going to open?
Yeah, storefront.
It'll be right next door to State 48 down here.
There you go. They would love it. Yeah. I'll wait for them to move, and I'll take their spot. I hadn't been golfing for years because I was playing baseball, and those are two very different swings. You could tell it's the same swing for me, and that's why I'm so terrible at the game. But
I wouldn't say terrible.
I hold my own,
it's not the
but it shows up a lot. The baseball swing, like Andrew says, I've never seen anybody get top spin on a drive. Come over the top with a baseball bat.
Sometimes I see that 402 in your eyes, center field.
Yeah, exactly. It's so much easier to hit a baseball coming at you than a golf ball on the ground. It's so strange. So my friend Carrie, who we did the Definitive Woman thing with, same type of thing, called her. I'm like, I got this stupid idea. She's like, that's a great idea, Brian. And I go, I don't have any money. She's like, I'll make you a logo. And so she got me a logo. Said, Whack Fuck the C. It looks like a golf ball in the T. Always over par.
It's awesome.
Yeah. And so made up 12 of those hats. And everybody that has one knows who you are. Because there's only 12 of them out there. We call him the OG now, Rob Elder.
I am not one of those 12.
You are not one of those people. Tournament launch, and Rob Elder came over the night. He's like, I want that. And I go, yeah, you talked about that. I go, I have one left. He got it. So he paid for it that night.
Oh. Yeah. Rob Elder, your hat may disappear someday.
That's right. So I sat on it for a year. And, Jeff and Andrew and, like, what are you going to do with this? I don't know what I'm going to do with it. And then I joined APN and still didn't know what I was going to do with it.
And Frank said, you are not sitting on your ass with this.
No, and Frank, Frank Sturpey, episode
Number 1.
Yep.
G.
Yeah, went to Buffalo Wild Wings for the happy hour. Yeah, put a name tag on it, put Whack Fuck Golf Team on there.
Buffalo Wild Wings comes up a lot in your history.
Oh, I'm a big fan of Buffalo Wild Wings. The Buffalo Dry Rub, exactly.
Yeah,
yep, and Gail over there. Oh my God,
Gail's amazing.
She's got the best Buffalo Wild Wings on the
Gail
planet.
is amazing.
She has the best employees. She has the best food.
Have you had the burgers at Buffalo Wild Wings? They're great burgers.
Christy's dad was like, "That's the place to eat a burger."
Good.
So
Gail,
going over there, did the happy hour, and was late for my photo. I still haven't had my photo shoot for APN, Frank, and I should blame that on Karen. Probably.
Yeah.
Yep.
Blame all the bad stuff on her.
Correct. Yes. And all the good stuff as well.
Yes.
Frank, I wandered around, talked to Letitia, that we know a lot. At that, I saw guys wearing golf hats with the ropes, and I said, "There's no way those are coming back with a vengeance." Well, back in the '80s, they were fertilizer hats, basically for farms. Yeah, they're whack fuck golf hats now.
We won't drop any copyrighted names.
Do you know any fertilizer companies for farms? Syngenta? No. I was sitting talking to Jeff Bride's people, and Jeff got up and left, and Frank parked over on the chair. He goes, "You know what we're going to do, Bryan Boutain? Let's have a whack fuck golf tournament." And I was like, "Really?" He's like, "Yep." Ended up being, hey, April 19th at Springfield, we're going to do this. Well, now it's on the clock.
Isn't it amazing when you throw it?
I needed that, though. I really did.
Right?
I really did.
You'll just keep kicking that can.
Yeah.
That's what I found.
Yeah.
It's like, I want to do this.
Yeah.
I want to do a podcast.
Yeah, great example.
I want to do a podcast. Yeah, I think I can.
I know you can.
Okay, I'm going to launch my first episode on this day.
Right.
Now it becomes real.
You drive towards it.
Everything's got to be done.
So. And so looking at April 19th came really, really fast, working with, Larry Schendelman on one of the hats, working with Branded Bills on some of the other hats. I was so focused on the swag box. That was the thing that was the most to me. Yeah.
That is the best swag box I have ever gotten. And I've played in a lot of tournaments.
So, I didn't do swag bag. I did a swag box.
That was awesome.
I had this vision in my head of the opening of like what could possibly be in here. And then what was possibly in there wasn't what you would expect to be in there. And so worked so very hard at that. And, for the longest time, there were only 16 people signed up. But Frank said, "Don't worry about it." Karen's like, "Don't worry about it." And then we had, I can't remember which one it was. All of a sudden, it was limited to 40. Next thing you know, so there was even more scrambling going on. I had ordered the 48 shot glasses, so I had those. I didn't have enough can koozies. I had enough boxes. And doing a lot of that engraving and stuff myself was therapeutic.
Yeah.
And building towards that, coming up with the boxes and getting everything ready. And, Thursday I had all the boxes set out on the pool table and on the table. And Christy came home and just went after it.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So in the box was a shot glass.
Correct.
Was a koozie. Skinny can koozie.
Mm-hmm. Whack fuck golf balls. Yep. Those were the easiest, by the way.
Yeah.
Those were the easiest. A divot tool fixer.
Now,
that was so interesting.
Did you laser engrave that yourself?
I did. They sent over what they had. And I'm like, okay. And I just had like 5 of them laying around. I think Karen Gadbury has like the old G one. I gave it to her. Wow. Yeah, at a meeting. And then they weren't quite where I wanted them as far as price. I'm like, who puts wood on a piece of metal?
Right.
And then has it be magnetized?
Yeah.
So when I went back looking for them, they were chrome, and I wanted more of a, brushed nickel look. I wanted something more, darker.
Yeah.
And the metal. And so when I went back on, I'm like, okay, I'll order the tariffs were coming, so I don't know if they were made in China and if I was going to get them. Ridiculous sale on them.
Oh, wow.
So they were like a third of what I thought I was going to have to. And then I was able to set them up in the laser engraver, do 20 of them at a time.
Wow.
And it's fun to laser do the work. I got the hats, in. We had, I think I have 20 different things. Jeff Bride sat down with me and we picked out 4 of them. All that we launched was 4 of them. So we got a lot more to come with that. Plus,
teaser.
Plus, working with a custom golf shirt company, to have something very, very different. So to expand the line on that. But when I got there, I wasn't going to play in the tournament. I was just going to, help out Christy and Heidi,
Yeah.
with it, and ended up going over, getting a little nervous. We got all the boxes on the golf carts at 6:30 in the morning. Went over, was doing my putting over there, and Rich made the big announcement. But what I did is I stood back and watched people sit down on the golf cart, and a lot of them look at this box like, "What is this?"
Yeah.
And they open it up, and they would turn to their partner and go, "Oh my God!" They're pulling stuff out, and they're showing, like, "Yeah, I have my own," and they're showing at each other, and that was very exciting.
That's awesome.
If I didn't sell a hat that day, I was already happy.
He gets swag bags. He gets stuff. It's got the plastic
Same old
tees
same
and the
old, same old.
holders and the all the same stuff. That was next level.
Thank you.
Like, it was the best package of swag that I think I've ever gotten.
Yeah.
And then there's something in the nuance. Is that right? The way you say it, of like whack fuck.
Yeah.
We've all been there.
Yeah.
Right? We've all been to whack fuck.
Yeah.
We've all been to, I'm going to smash the crap out of this drive.
Yeah. I mean, as good as Mike Uper is playing golf, he had whack fucks on Monday.
Right,
He did.
right.
And he looks at me, he's like, "That's exactly what that is." And then if I would do it, and I had many of them, in his good graces, he'd like, "Well, Bryan, you do own whack fuck golf." Yeah. So deciding to make every single part of that whack fuck golf and do nothing else. The hats, obviously, I definitely underestimated.
Yeah,
Because
yeah.
I don't have any. I feel guilty wearing the one I have on my head.
Yeah.
So underestimating
Which
the
is a
power.
beautiful
Yeah,
red.
thank you. Gotta get more of those blue ones in that Maddie has from Bug Eyes.
There you go.
Yeah. So that was an underestimation, big time. Going back to Frank Strippy and Karen Gadbury and APN, joining APN and getting those juices flowing again about being a part of something bigger than myself.
Yep.
Letting them help me make something out of nothing.
I love that.
Yeah, that's APN for me. The chamber's coming. It absolutely is, because I am a big fan of supporting the chambers of commerce wherever I can.
Yeah.
And that comes from where we came from, because there wasn't a unique networking group in Alexandria. It was the BNI. No knock against BNI. Not my thing. Just not my thing. But when we were in St. Cloud, Minnesota, during that time when the Riverbats baseball games and stuff like that, there was the chamber networking group, and there were the BNIs, and then a bunch of us guys got together at a bagel shop one day and said, "You know what, we need to do our own thing." Next thing we know, we had 25, 30 people showing up at, in the Mexican restaurants opening up in the morning for us and making us breakfast burritos to say, "These guys want to come and hang out here." And we hung out. I didn't really think anything about it. All of a sudden I go, that was like APN type in its infancy. We didn't restrict anybody. Come at 7:30 in the morning, have a cup of coffee, have something to eat, and just hang out. And guess what? I look at all of those people. I probably did business with all of them. Nobody asked me. Nobody pushed me.
I have found great success in the chamber, and I love the chamber.
Absolutely. And I can't wait to be a member of that. I can't wait.
When I was first kind of getting started in the commercial insurance world, because that's the first time I ever had to really eat what I killed, so to speak.
That's great.
And so I got involved in BNI. And I got involved in the chamber after about a year. And I told myself, I'm going to give this 3 years, right? Because I'm in insurance.
That's impressive.
Yeah, I'm in insurance. And reality is, I think Frank said it on the last one, you can throw a stone and you hit 20, right?
Yeah.
There's a lot of us out there.
Correct.
So I got into BNI, got into chamber. After about a year, I started realizing BNI, I'm stuck to 25, 30 people.
Correct.
Chamber, at the time, there were 700 some members. I'm like, I can get involved in all these other things and touch all these other people.
Right.
A couple years ago, somebody had mentioned APN to me, and I don't remember who it was. And I just feel like capacity-wise, because I started the business about 6 years ago, and I felt like capacity-wise, I just wasn't there. I was going 16 hours a day.
Yeah.
I just didn't have the capacity. Eric Reber from Speed Pro approached me.
Yeah, so there's our connection right
Bride.
there. Jeff
There you
Bride.
go.
He knows who he is.
I'll tell you.
Yeah.
Anybody who knows Jeff Bride, somebody needs to help that guy.
I know, yeah. Get a handle on him. Go ahead.
Jeff Bride ended up having lunch with Jeff and Frank and thought, I think this could be good. I had kind of termed out of all of the little things I was doing at the chamber and started stepping into it. And not to promote APN, although I'm promoting APN, because I'll tell you, if you're not involved in APN, you're kind of
That's right.
whatever.
Come join us.
I have found so much success already in a very short period of time. And the people are dynamic.
Yeah.
and the people want to help people. And I'm hearing what you're saying in your breakfast group with regards to what you were doing.
Yeah.
It's kind of like, I don't know if I should say this on the air, being engaged and not married.
Oh, sure.
I make a choice every single day to be with the person that I'm with.
Yeah.
Right? I don't have the government telling me I have to be there.
Well, that's beautiful.
So
I think you've thought about that. That didn't come. That wasn't organic today at all, but that was beautiful. A
few times.
I've never heard it.
I feel the same way.
Yeah.
Like when I am at events, I feel like the people that are at the events are there to truly cultivate and grow relationships.
Farming.
Right?
Not against BNI, but you better show up with your help of your leads and stuff like that. And jumping back to that St. Cloud group, just we did the chamber, but then we broke away. We didn't break away from the chamber. We just did a different day.
Yeah,
we just like, hey, let's do this in the morning. Right. Didn't really realize until APN that we were kind of doing what APN does.
Yep.
Honestly, I didn't realize it till just this moment. That was what we were doing. I remember the majority of the people. I remember. One was a funeral director.
Wow.
Yeah, one guy sold insurance, life insurance, stuff like that. But that was the easy one to go to every time. It's
a beautiful thing. I just think about the number of conversations that I've had with people and within the chamber, and we'll keep it there just because that's what I'm historically most involved with, where I will have conversations with people. And I'll say, look, when I stepped into the chamber, I knew that it wasn't going to be an immediate turn. And I sat in there for a year almost before I even had one person refer business to me. APN, same thing. I mean, I haven't been in there for a year, but you cultivate real relationships.
Right.
You develop friendships. Yep. You have the opportunity to get to know somebody on a deeper level, right?
Correct.
And that's part of this podcast is to be able to go, okay, what drives you? What's your motivation? What's your why? How come you get up in the morning and you do what you do? And I feel like most of us want the opportunity to live our life happy with the person we want,
right?
Do what we want to do. And I feel like as an entrepreneur, you take that onus on yourself, where most people look at it and they go, oh, you're a business owner, you make so much money. And I could go to work.
It's pretty crazy that everybody's like, oh, you're self-employed, you make, no, I just know how to write stuff off.
Right. I could go to work for somebody else and make 3 times what I make today, easily.
Absolutely. But I could have a completely different job right now if I wanted to. I am working, and it's
a passion.
Yeah, this is where it's at.
Whack fuck. That's what he's saying. Whack fuck.
Yes.
So where do we go? Where does whack fuck go from here?
Well,
what is your dream?
You people have ideas. I know that my wife Christy has been so happy to see, she's very passionate about me doing something like I'm passionate about, what she's doing, supporting each other. Jeff Bride, I mean, he probably calls me every day with an idea, and, it's like he's involved, but he's not. He's got ideas and you can't do them all, but I appreciate the support. Did I ever think that I would launch a golf lifestyle brand with a golf tournament? But I thought that was way down the road, that I would sponsor my own golf tournament. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and I'm sitting there selling, some lids, to...
Some guys are coming around the course.
Yeah, exactly. Hey, you want to buy a whack fuck golf team? Hell yeah, I do. You can. I don't have any.
Sold out. By the way, I have 4 in my closet.
I wish I had a quick answer about this. No different than the original idea. And working through those ideas with my limited amount of time with what I'm doing. Getting the online store going where I have inventory that I can fill. I got a guy in New Jersey waiting for a white whack fuck golf team. Of course he ordered the white one.
Right.
The only one I don't have. So
white goes with so much stuff.
Right, and emailing him is like, hey, I had a golf tournament on Saturday. I sold them all. And I go, I can refund your money.
Nice. Donate my white one. It might have a sweat mark in it. But
well, I don't think he wants that. I have talked to a couple retailers in the area that have space for me, that have already sent me contracts. They want me to do it. Want me to be there before Father's Day, which obviously makes sense. And then figuring out how to work with golf courses to make that product available. I've never owned anything in the retail realm. So I've worked in retail. I understand retail. But how do you make money as a supplier? Luckily, I'm honed in on one thing, golf.
Yeah.
So I know who I'm supposed to be talking to. Rich at Springfield has shown great interest in having the product there.
That's awesome.
Got to go over and talk to Rich.
Yeah.
And say, what do you see? What do you want to do?
Right.
You know, and go to Sunbird, and we are, I wouldn't say friends, we're acquaintances, with the owner of Power Ranch Golf Club. They're from Alexandria, where we're from.
Oh, wow.
And they have, 5 golf courses.
Wow.
Down here, the big one up where we're from, and going to Ryan and saying, Ryan, this is, what do you think? And he's like, we can figure this out. We can help you. I've helped Ryan out many times with rental stuff when he needed it with his events. So continue to cultivate those relationships that I already have in golf. So the online is probably going to have to be, a major driver of that. But continuing on with APN, finding other, as we do a lot of golfing.
Yeah.
And continuing to utilize that, whether it's, Glow Ball coming up on August 1st.
Yeah.
Something with the chamber. I didn't do anything with the chamber on Monday.
Oh, glow-in-the-dark logo.
Yeah, you're right, exactly. It's amazing because I just found a supplier. The logo glows in the dark.
There you go.
So, you guys are walking around and, you get it.
Yeah.
Endless possibilities and trying to be as strategic as I can, because, everything costs money.
Yeah.
And you want to, try to win that back. You're not in business to
Money. Right. Break even and pay the bills.
Right. And have fun.
Live your life.
Absolutely.
Okay, so what's your biggest fear about the business?
My biggest fear about the business, not having enough time to dedicate to it. My biggest fear. Yeah. Having a job for the first time, I know what that does.
Yeah.
I'm lucky that I work remotely. I can do a marketing job. I don't have to do it during business hours. I do anything from ad design to ad buy. I don't have to do that with technology today. But having enough time, Christy and I are in a transition, with the kids. Jack is, moving to Minnesota, and in 3 weeks, Jack won't be in our house. And Jack's always in our house. And Brianna eventually probably moving on. And, so Christy and I are sliding into a different phase of our life too, which can change things, financially for us, allow for, the diving in a little bit more. I'm excited about that.
Yep.
I'm not scared of anything. Christy can attest to that. Anybody that knows me knows that I'm fearless. Having ADHD clinically, actually diagnosed, lack thereof is time management. That goes right along with that. I'm not scared of anything.
So
I've never, honestly, Jan, everything that I've ever done, I've never failed at.
That's awesome.
In any business I've ever started, I've never lost money.
That's awesome.
This is not going to be the exception.
It's all learning anyways.
No, it's
right?
not.
So I can tell you the support of an amazing woman.
Oh my God.
Is, or I should say partner. We're two guys talking, right? So I'm saying woman, but an amazing partner.
Yeah.
I would not be where I am today without Christine. No way. She has supported me to a degree that I would never have expected somebody to support me. And there are days where I think, why is she still there? Right?
I ask myself that question a lot.
The thing that for me, and whether I went about it the right way or the wrong way, we won't get into that conversation because it's about you, not me, not my therapy session. When I decided to start the business, right, I made the jump. And there was a point at which I was working at Costco in the morning.
Oh, we talked about it.
And then I was working the agency. So I'd get up at, I don't even know, 2, 3, 4 o'clock in the morning, go to the office or go to work Costco, stock shelves, go back, sleep for an hour, then go to work. What I started realizing is the focus that I was providing to what I thought was the safety net was limiting the opportunity to move forward.
There's no question.
And I'm not telling you to.
No, you don't have to tell me. I already know exactly what I need to do.
Yeah. It's a hard decision.
It is a very hard decision. If you go back to the days of having the Kurz franchises, the publishing company, the rental company, going back, college, having a family, my kids remember this. I didn't think they would remember this, but they remember me putting them to bed and reading them their books. And after being up at 5 o'clock in the morning, going and running the family business, in the office that I ran the publishing business from. I had everybody well-oiled machine, right? I would go to my desk outside in the dining room and I would do my homework till 12:30. That was my cutoff, was 12:30.
Wow.
And get up at 5:30 a.m. again the next day.
Wow.
And just keep doing that every day. And then not even counting weekends when there were events. Well, then I'm part of the events. I'm getting up in the morning and I'm literally going to clean.
Who made you do that?
Who made me do what?
Get up at 5 o'clock in the morning.
Me.
Go to bed at 12:30.
I did.
Yeah.
That was my choice.
And why?
Because that's what had to be done.
Yeah.
It was the only way to do it.
Right.
I had gotten myself into a position where there wasn't a choice. Something had to have suffered.
Yeah.
And you're right. And having Christy support me in that, put up with that. My biggest thing was to never miss an event that the kids were in and to never not be home to read them their book at night.
Wow.
And then everything else was up to me.
Yeah.
I mean, some nights, I got the homework done faster. I was very honest with my professors and saying, they knew what I did. I told them up front, this is what I'm doing. And I remember I was online at the University of Minnesota Crookston, and for whatever reason, I don't know what class it was, like, you can partner up on this. And there was a kid that I'd met at Alec Technical College because I transferred from there, and he remembered me. His name's John Macy, literally related to the Macy family.
No
Macy.
kidding.
He was starting a lawn care business. He was just enamored with me about what I was doing, and that's what he wanted for himself. He drove me crazy. Because I'm like, honestly, I have to literally not give you my time. John, you can do this. I can already tell. If you just want to watch what I'm doing, you can do that. But I can't, He followed me to University of Minnesota Crookston online. He did the same thing.
Wow.
So when he saw that, I was in that class, he's like, Bryan, let's partner up. I'm like, dude, I cannot put you through that. You would literally be on my timeline because that time window that I told you, that's my window. I don't have any other time for that. And he's like, I completely understand. So I did that project on my own. I take the partner, not for my selfish reasons, because I couldn't put him through that.
Yeah.
I'm the one that did that from 2010 to 2012. The technical college one, I actually went to class every day. I went to the classroom. I didn't do it online. And I loved going to sit in the classroom with the students. And I was the oldest guy by far in there. And they were interested because, like, what's this guy doing? Yeah. I mean, old people go to college all the time now. But, sitting in classes and be able to offer a different perspective, because they can I thought the same thing when I was that age. Was I wrong?
Oh, yeah.
I'm not going to tell you you're wrong.
Right.
I'm going to give you a different perspective of what you want.
I think that all too often we go through life wanting to be at the next stage without enjoying the stage that we're sitting at. I see this today more than I see the expectation that, well, I finished high school, so I deserve this. I finished college, so I deserve the job that pays this. Well, I've been in this job for a year, so now I deserve this. And I think what people lose sight of is the fact that it's hard work. There's a very few percent of people that are born into wealth, luck, you name it.
I mean, we can make our kids' lives easier
For sure.
with our success, but at the same time teaching them the values, reminding them. Christy and I come from, poor backgrounds. I mean, the chances of our success were clearly not in our favor, but we chose to be different.
Yeah.
And wow, I still look back and I'm kind of amazed, and being able to have our kids even have a better opportunity, but also not give them everything and teach them the values of things that we do provide and on your own. And, giving them, whether it be the 529 program to have the $10,000 to start college. Christy and I were lucky enough to be able to provide things like that. But telling them how valuable that is and showing them why, Brianna choosing community college. She can go to ASU and be gone in a year.
Yeah.
I want to, come out debt free.
Yeah.
Whatever. The next stage for her, that will be something she'll have to take on for herself. Mom and dad are not doing that.
Awesome.
Not paying for that. So, yeah. Where did we leave off?
I don't know.
Yeah. It's good stuff.
Yeah.
Very, very good stuff.
Well, I have greatly appreciated this conversation.
Did we go long?
We're pretty
Oh,
long.
wow.
Yeah, we're doing good. You talked much more than you thought you could.
Well, I told you that I would. Thank you, Miller Lite.
Yeah, Miller Lite.
Sponsored by Miller Lite.
My big friend.
So back to the whack fuck thing, the social golf gear. Obviously, I decided to put that under an umbrella because I can't walk around a chamber going, "What do you do?" I have a whack fuck golf team. Probably start saying that more often than not.
Well, it's interesting how that has become more socially acceptable.
Yeah, the people that I met with in retail, they kept saying whack fuck more than I did. I was like, wow, these guys have no problem having this on their shelves.
Yeah.
So, which is great. But there's a lot more to come under social golf gear. That it's not just whack fuck. We talked about the other slogans. I've got this other, couple other, great ideas, that I haven't, shown anybody,
Nice.
Jeff Bride, Christie, something like that. But yeah, there's a lot to come from that.
Anything you can drop right here on the show will be the
I just bought the domain called theamateursgolf.com. It will be a play on the Masters. We're going to have something similar to that look for every state. And I will also allow any golf club that wants to have the amateurs paraphernalia in there with their name of their golf course underneath as well. It was just Tuesday.
Well,
I bought
there you go. You heard it first here. All right. Well, hey, I really, really, really appreciate this. I've enjoyed our conversation.
I'm excited for you and how Bryan is going to help you with this on our websites.
Well,
I don't care because they're so valuable, by the way, backlinks.
Like,
and they need to
share,
be legit,
subscribe.
but being able to put this up on my website as well to promote you.
Oh, well,
because, Jan, you remind me a lot of me. And I think that's probably where our connection comes from.
Yeah.
Other than your kid playing hockey at...
Yeah. He didn't play. He liked it.
Oh, he liked it.
He loved it.
Fake news,
Right
yes.
here.
You're an inspiration that you're doing this, and I hope APN and everybody else you're hanging around rubs off and says,
Thank you.
now is now, right?
Yeah.
Let's go.
I appreciate it. I mean,
What is the worst thing that could happen? I ask my kids that all the time, whenever they're upset about something, I go, what is the very worst thing that can happen? When you think about the worst, it's death, and none of this is going to kill you. And they talk about it all the time. That and you can't do the things that you want to do until you do the things that you have to do. For sure. My kids remember that. I know you want to do that, but you haven't done this.
Yeah.
Homework. Get your homework done, then you can do whatever you want. You're like pay time off.
Learn your algebra.
Do all your stuff at work, and you can take off all the time you want. Yeah.
There you go.
So, yep.
Well, hey,
Jan Simon,
I appreciate it.
you're welcome.
You rock.
My name is Bryan Boutain, and I went above and beyond.